And welcome into Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat, your ever so gracious host. So glad you are with us today, along with my special guest co-host, and also a friend of mine. His name is Darby Veneer. He is an author and leadership coach, business owner, and all-around nice guy. Darby, good evening. Glad to have you with us today.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here. Hopefully, everybody's staying at home and watching us for this weather we're having.
Yes, that's right. Because, that's what we do. We talk about the weather. No, but this is a lot of fun because, first of all, Lincoln is a show about, well, basically Lincoln. That's what we talk about. We talk about things around Lincoln, things that are going on in Lincoln, or maybe it's just maybe there's something cool about Lincoln that many people may not know about. But we're trying to link Lincoln together in several different ways, and this is just one of those special ways. And now, hopefully they're not watching the volleyball game right now. I did also realize there is a volleyball game tonight, so I am terribly sorry if we're interrupting your volleyball game watching, just so you can watch our great show, but it's worth it, trust me. Because Darby is definitely, he is a delight and a treat to have on. And as I said, my special guest co-host, and I've known Darby since basically the kids have started going to the Northwest, and he is the president of the Booster Club. But I found out something cool about Darby, and that is he is a leadership coach because I follow his LinkedIn, and he does a lot of videos on LinkedIn. But then on top of that, he also has he's an author. Tell me, we're going to get into your book. We're going to talk about your book a little bit later, but there was something of note we have to talk about first, and that was yesterday, on this day in history, I noticed on 1011's website, was Johnny Carson, Mr. Late Night himself. He was born on this day. Oh, gosh, now I got to look at it. That's what I get for not looking at it. Born on this day in 1925, or yesterday in 1925. So happy birthday to Johnny Carson. May he rest in soul. I mean, did you ever get to see Johnny Carson growing up? I didn't.
I did not. That seems like a lifetime ago that he was on the Tonight Show, but yeah.
That's a long time. The thing is, thanks to streaming and streaming episodes and stuff like that, you can actually watch a lot of Johnny Carson's stuff from a long time ago and catch it. I mean, do you think the topics are the same?
I'm sure the topics are the same. I'm sure they have altered a little bit with time and history. Some things maybe are no longer appropriate that were appropriate.
Yeah, right. But I always known. Okay, for many people who don't know this, 1011 and WOWT in Omaha are owned by the same company, which is the company I work for. I don't work for 1011. I don't work for Channel 6. I don't work for anybody like that, except for Gray Television. And so when I worked over at WOWT in Omaha, I was told that the ghost of Johnny Carson still walks around that building. He didn't die in that building, but that's where he got his start, was in Omaha at WOWT. And then he moved on to bigger, better things when he got his late night show. So I don't know. Do you think a ghost can transfer? If you've seen the show Ghosts on CBS, you know they stay where they die. But I don't think a ghost can transfer from a whole complete different state and time zone back to Omaha.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm kind of a paranormal guy that likes to follow those things and watch those YouTube channels. And they always say they can attach to houses or locations or people.
Really?
So I guess you could travel, but if you were attached to a person, maybe you traveled back to the station.
we now need to add another title to yours, and that is paranormal expert.
Yeah, I don't know about expert.
We're gonna go ghost hunting with Darby later. Ooh, that's actually a good topic I got to have on the show. Where are the great ghost hunting places in Lincoln? It is, Halloween's next week, so I'm a little too late on that. But we can try to do that for next week as my equipment falls apart here.
Back in the day, so many years ago, when I was an undergrad at Nebraska Wesleyan, I wrote a paper on the ghost of Wesleyan, Clara Mills, who supposedly haunts Old Main at Nebraska Wesleyan. So
really,
you could go ghost hunt there.
Oh, okay. I've been ghost hunting before in Independence, Missouri. It was an old plantation. and there are a lot. Apparently, there was lots of ghosts, and I was there at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you could just feel the. It was in the dead of summer too, so it was warm. It was hot. You're sweating, but you could feel these cold chills and the stuff on the. That's a topic for another day. Completely different topic for another day, but it was very interesting. But I'm wondering. Back to the original is. I'm wondering if Johnny Carson's ghost is there, and then on top of that, if I mean, the old building just I say that, and the thing is the old building is now gone because they tore it down. They just moved over to a couple of years ago when I was there. They were moving over to a new building right next door, with the same building as Warren Buffett's office. And yes, I ran into Mr. Buffett a couple of times. It was really cool to actually walk. Normal guy. He gets to work. I mean, if you've ever seen anything about Warren Buffett, he gets to work the same time every single day. He's got that Cadillac. He orders his McDonald's, and he comes in, and you get in the elevator with him. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?" You know, it's just a normal old guy, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm wondering if now here's where your paranormal specialty comes into play. Will it transfer over to the new WWT building, or will it stay with that one when they build an apartment building there in the old location?
I don't know if you've ever watched the TV show Supernatural. They say ghosts can attach to objects.
Oh.
So if they have objects that they moved from one building to another that they're attached to, perhaps might be there.
There are some historic cameras that they moved over and just a few bits of equipment, but otherwise everything's new. But I'm guessing if he's going to attach himself to something, it's going to be one of those old pieces of history
Maybe.
equipment. All right. All right. And then also on this day, actually, it was just the other day, it was the 21st, Nebraska records. Nope, that's not right. The 20th, Memorial Stadium was finally dedicated. Formally dedicated, not finally dedicated, but formally dedicated. You can find this on this day in history or We the People on 1011now.com. All right, we've got things to talk about. We've got a lot of things to talk about, and a couple of them include leadership. That's mainly why we brought on Darby. So we're going to be talking about modern day leadership, some things that you do coaching. You're an author. You've written a book on leadership. So we're going to talk about that and much more. That's all coming up in just a matter of minutes here on Lincoln Lincoln. Do not go anywhere. And welcome back to Lincoln Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat along with Darby Veneer, and he is a author, leadership coach, gentleman extraordinaire. I mean, whatever you want to call him. I'm sure as long as you don't call him late for dinner, he'll be happy. And Darby, you know, when I texted you, it was mainly because I saw your videos on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, you've posted a lot of stuff. Some stuff gets a lot of reactions. Some stuff it's like meh. But you know, that's the nature of the beast of social media, right? But I've noticed that you've done a lot of leadership coaching. And first of all, what is a leadership coach? Tell me about you and why you've latched onto leadership.
Yeah, I mean, coaching takes a variety of forms. So there's probably a few types here. Leadership coaching in general really just helps individual leaders who are maybe struggling or just need to have somebody to talk through something with. on a regular basis. It's not consulting. That's way different. Consulting would be you tell me your problem, I tell you what you need to do about it. Coaching is more of you can talk to me about your issues. I can make some suggestions, but I'm probably going to ask you a lot of questions to help you come to the answer that you need to come to. Then there's really executive coaching, which is probably a little bit higher level. You're getting more into the strategy side of things. You're probably C-suite level or VP level individuals. And in those cases, then you're really talking about leading an organization and that type of coaching. And then there's full-blown like strategic planning. And that's really obviously dealing with the full strategy of helping a company, usually a leadership team. Sometimes it's a smaller company, it might be more one-on-one, but you're really helping that group establish a plan to help their business grow and move forward.
It's all about the strategery.
That's right.
I like utilizing that word, strategery. So, I mean, can you do the... First of all, you're from Lincoln, you live in Lincoln, you do a lot of stuff in Lincoln, and you're really big in the community. And is that where, would you think it starts, is basically being a leader in your community before you could be a leader in a business?
You know, it's really interesting. So leadership takes on a lot of forms. There's formal leadership, and I'm not talking about reporting structure. A lot of times people think, oh, that's the boss, so they're the leader. Mm-hmm. I know some people that are bosses that are not great leaders.
Oh, no, I'm with you on that one. I know quite a few over the years, that's for sure. I probably could be called one of those as well, because we all have to learn how to be a leader too. You know,
that's
but
right.
Being a leader in the community, some people can lead, some people can't, right? I mean, I think that's what we've boiled down to is a lot of people out there who think they can be leaders definitely shouldn't be, and then a lot of people who aren't leaders should be. I mean, how do you decipher, how do you work it also in your brain? Is like, I could definitely be a leader, because it scares the crap out of you.
Yeah, sometimes it's not really a switch. It just kind of happens over time for individuals. And it could happen, you know, with younger folks who are just starting out in their careers and they slowly get direct reports and they slowly learn those things. Hopefully they get a good coach and they learn a lot of things. But it could be much later in your career too. Maybe you've never had an opportunity to lead individuals. But there's also a thing that's more like informal leadership. Mm-hmm. So just think about your interactions on a daily and a weekly basis with individuals. You don't have to have people that report to you to be a leader. You can be working on a project in a company or for an organization and take on the form of a leader, basically to be the person who drives things forward. You don't have anybody reporting to you, but that's not the true definition of leadership. I mean, leadership is really being able to bring together a group of people. Leadership is influence, so you have some sort of influence over them. And that can be within a company. It can be just out in the community, in an organization. It can just be in your interactions at church or wherever, on the booster club.
Yeah. I've also noticed that there, as we said, there's a lot of people who shouldn't be leaders. And could they be leaders one day? Could they be coached or taught how to be a better leader? And I think a lot of that also, in my personal experience, a lot of people who shouldn't be leaders at this very moment can be. I just want this is my 2 cents, and I definitely want yours, can be, but they have to be open to the idea of being coached or to being taught. They can't be like, I'm all that in a bag of tater chips. I don't care what you say. You got to actually be open to being a better leader.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So the first thing is are they coachable?
Yeah.
Which is what you were getting at.
Yeah.
And if they are coachable, then absolutely they can make improvements. And the reality is, you mentioned it. I mean, we all have to learn to be a leader over time. And when we start out as leaders, when I started out at the beginning of my career, I made some mistakes. Like I can pinpoint some specific things that I know that I did wrong, that I remember today. There was not great leadership, but the key is did I learn from those things? Now, there are people, of course, who have too big of an ego or whatever, and they just are not ready to be coached. They think they have the answers, and that gets a little bit more difficult. I don't want to say that they can never be coached to get to that point, but there certainly are individuals who sometimes you encounter that maybe they just should not be in a leadership role. Unfortunately, we have people, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this know some individuals who even run companies who probably shouldn't be leading people, but they happen to own a company, and they are unfortunately in a quote unquote leadership role, even though they may not be great at leading. Now, the hope is that that individual can find a COO or number two or whatever who can help fill those holes and those gaps, because we all have gaps. And I mean, that's the bottom line is I would say, you know, when I try to hire people for a team in particular, I'm looking for people to fill gaps.
Yeah.
I want to hire people who are better at things than I'm not good at. I don't want to hire a cookie cutter of Darby.
Yep.
I have enough Darbys. One is enough.
Your wife will agree.
Right, exactly. And that's one thing I always tell people who I have coached on my team, which is, I want you to speak up. I want you to, if you think I'm an idiot, tell me you think I'm an idiot. Be respectful about it, but tell me why you think I'm an idiot, because I hired you for a reason. Like, I hired you to be the expert in what I hired you for, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to be there. I also want those individuals to grow. And some people are insecure about this, but I always loved it when I had a team member of mine who said, I want to take your job, because that told me that they want to grow and they're going to continue to fight for that. And I think that is great. Plus, it's going to keep pushing me.
Yeah. You know, when I've been in my leadership positions, I did the same thing that you said, is I want to make sure I have people smarter around me than I am.
That's right.
Because while they may have a set of skills that complement what we're trying to accomplish, they're smarter than me, obviously, in that category. I may be smarter than them in another category, but overall, if I get these people together and I can actually get them to work together, I can accomplish a lot of things, even though they are smarter than me or they have different opinions of me. That's the other thing. When I hired a group of people for the network that I started, was it's about getting people who are different, who think differently, because then we can take and get a hodgepodge of those ideas, those thought processes, those motivations, and put them together in a big old cauldron, basically, and then produce one heck of a product. And that was my goal overall. And I think and I wanted these people to speak up, as you said. Having people speak up, having them tell you how they feel, telling them their thoughts is another thing. Don't stifle someone's thought process and ideas, because if you can get them to really bloom with that idea, then you've got yourself a project owner right there, or a product owner, depending on the product or the thing that you're trying to do. You've got another leader in your group that will then take ownership of that and run with it. I love that stuff. I think that's what I've seen those memes, and I should find it, but the memes of where a leader is sitting on the back of its people on that big slab,
right?
The king, and then you've got the other people who are like, I'm pulling it with you, and it's really cool to see different type of leaderships, but then also it's just those. I've just had some really bad leaders, and it's so scary. So what should someone do if they know they have a bad leader?
Well, it takes on a variety of forms. If you work for a bad leader, that can be challenging. So the best thing that you can do in that case is communicate with that individual as frequently and as regularly as you can. And hopefully you can work through it. Obviously, sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, I think I need to move on and find somebody else to work for. And that's the reality of the situation. But hopefully, those individuals will eventually evolve and take on a better form of leadership and help them learn. But I mean, it's difficult when you report to somebody, because there's only so much that you can do.
Well, tell us about your book. I'm very curious, because I didn't know you had a book until recently. And tell us about your book. What can people find in it and help them with it?
Yeah, it really is a great book for those who are, especially early leaders and emerging leaders. It deals with a lot of different topics that they're kind of like the things that, so everybody says, why did you write a book, or how did that come about? I just kept notes throughout my career on things that I thought were interesting, things that happened to me. And I never really thought, I'm going to turn this into a book. But in 2020, something happened in the world. And when we were all working at home and there was no kid activities going on at night or anything, I thought, well, seems like a good time to start. So I really just started putting together all of these stories that I had, and I started by writing the individual stories, and then I kind of put it into the form of the book and connected things and everything. So there's a lot of things within it, but the main idea of the book is if you think about the fact that there are often a couple of types of leaders. There's a visionary style of leader, and then there's more of a managerial style leader. So the visionary is that big idea person. They're about the why we're doing it and where we're headed, and they get very excited about their ideas. In their head, when they come up with an idea, it's already done, even though it's not done. But in their head, it's done. They're 100 steps ahead. The managerial mind is more the organized person. They're the ones who's talking about what are we going to do and how are we going to do it. And you have to have both. And oftentimes people think of it as a spectrum, like you're at one end or the other. And my book starts out by saying, I don't think that's a great way to look at it. I think how we should be looking at it is more like a Venn diagram that overlaps, like two overlapping circles, and we try to take the best leadership traits that we have and the best visionary traits and the best managerial traits that we have, and formulate that into the best possible leader that we can be, and try to drop the bad habits, because there are bad things associated with both of those archetypes as well. So it starts out dealing with that, but it also deals with a lot of things like emotional intelligence and mentoring and some other things there.
Wait, emotional intelligence is required, or just intelligence in general?
Both would be handy.
That's a big factor for me. I mean, I can tell you, I've had some bad bosses, and I'm sure somebody could probably say I was a bad boss. But oh my goodness, it just makes you question if these people, what was a leader thinking to hire this person as a leader in their organization? I just wonder. So, in your book, continue with your book, because again, you kind of went through some of the process of starting it, and then when you put all those stories together, how did you present it? How did you get somebody to publish it?
So I went through a self-publishing process, and I worked with a company that does self-publishing. So obviously you pay them a fee. Mm-hmm. They gave me a writer's assistant when I got to the point that I was ready to have a writer's assistant who would kind of edit and review things. Oh. I loved writing the book. I don't recommend the editing.
You got to reread what you wrote.
Unfortunately, the editing has to happen, but that's the most painful part. And then when you're complete, they helped do the publishing and help you deal with Amazon and Vision Spark and all of the Ingram Spark, and everything associated there.
And so now you are published, and it's on Amazon?
It is.
And tell us the name of the book.
It's called The Indispensable Leader.
The Indispensable Leader. And that's why, if I could actually hit the buttons right there, it is. Go to beindispensable.com. And is that a thing? I've heard that, and I've actually given this advice myself, be indispensable. Learn as much as you can. Is that a leadership trait, or is that more of a personal skill trait when it comes to learn everything that you can about what you do? Because if you do, you become indispensable. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they work hand in hand. I mean, I think it's a personal trait, and I think that it can be a leadership trait as well. It's kind of the approach that I went towards, even though I'm not sure. I mean, let's be clear, in this society, you can't make yourself entirely indispensable. Right. Depending on a company's situation, sometimes changes have to be made, and they're going to make them unless you're the owner of the company. So you make yourself as indispensable as you possibly can. Yeah. But the bigger point there is yes, continue to learn everything that you can learn. Get into and be involved in all parts of an organization, whether it's a company or just some organization, and really learn a lot of things, because it will help you in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And what other? Well, we've got more advice. We've got lots of advice coming up. So what we're going to do is, any other topics you really want to touch on before we get to our top 5?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I think that we overlook as leaders is, I think we underestimate the power that we have with individuals that we work with, and the impact that you can have on someone's career trajectory or life trajectory, depending on the situation. One of the stories that I use, and I speak about this pretty regularly, is from the very start of my career. So I started my career actually as a manager at a 22-screen AMC movie theater in Kansas City.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was one of, huge movie theaters. So there was multiple managers. So there was, I don't know, one of 6 managers, and then everybody kind of has a focus area. But mine was HR. But you learn all the areas. So when you start, you learn the concession area and how the ordering goes and how you fulfill that, and inventory, and you learn the box office, and you learn the projection booth and everything. So when you're the operations manager and you're closing, you can't leave until everything is done. And Thursday nights was always the most difficult night, or the most lengthy night, because that's when the new movies came in,
Yeah.
and then the old movies have to go back. And this is in the day, this is going to date me, this is in the day before digital movies,
Right.
and you still had celluloid film. So the movies arrived on reels, and they would arrive, a typical movie might be 6 to 8 reels that would arrive, and they would all arrive on Thursday, and they all have to be spliced together. All those 6 or 8 reels have to be spliced together onto a platter on this big, huge round thing into one big movie. And then all of the old movies that are then leaving have to be, all those splices have to be broken, and they have to be wound back onto the little reels. And I always, when I was done with my operations stuff, I always went and helped the projection staff finish up, because I couldn't leave until they did. And there were managers, I never understood it. There were managers who would finish their stuff and they'd sit in the office on the computer. And this is before cell phones had, smartphones. So they were just sitting in the office, just waiting. I'm like, why don't you go help?
Yeah.
So I always went and helped. And this was probably 2 a.m., 1:30, 2 a.m. And I'm breaking down this print, which is what it's called when you're breaking the splices and putting them back on the small reels. So you have this table, you put the little reel on, you attach it, and then there's this knob that you basically can speed up, and it'll spin, and it'll pull the film off the big platter until you get to a splice, and then you stop it and you break it. So I was going to be very efficient. And I sped this thing up, and it was going really fast, and I'm watching it, and all of a sudden, so the big print that's on the platter is held there by this metal center ring that has pegs that go down into the platter. Apparently, whoever put the pegs in, or the center ring in the last time, did not put the pegs in all the way.
Oh.
So I sped this thing up, and it was spinning away, and all of a sudden, this whole movie print went,
Ooh.
and it went flying off into the projection booth. And you talk about slow motion moments. That was one, because I just slowly watched this movie print flying, and you're like, what the heck? And then I'm looking down at this movie print, and the best way I can describe it to people who don't know, you can't just pick it up and put it back on.
Yeah.
It looks like if you, again, I'm going to date myself, if you watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and they get the Christmas lights out and they're all in a bunch, that's kind of what it looks like.
Oh, no.
Or a 2,000-foot extension cord on the floor all jumbled. It just turns into a big knot.
Oh, no.
So I spent the next 4.5 hours pulling film out, cutting it, untangling, pulling that out, resplicing that together. By the time I was done, this print should have been a Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger movie, because there were so many splices in this film. And I'm in my head, this is my first job out of college, and I've worked there at this point, I don't know, 6 months.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I'm fired.
Yeah.
I am so fired, because we were going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what those prints cost, but my guess is probably $4,000 to $6,000 per reel. And this was 8 reels, maybe 7.5, since some of them did end up on the reel before it started. So I got it all done. I put it in the cans, and I went home and I showered, and I came immediately back because I knew my managing director was going to be there. And I remember standing outside of his office looking at the door like, this is it. This is the end of your career here. And I walked in his office, and I explained the whole thing to him. And he just looked at me and he said, Darby, thanks for coming in and telling me. Go home and get some rest, because he knew I had to come back at 4 o'clock and work the next night. Go home and get some rest, and we'll see you later today. That was it. That was the extent of it. he knew that I was stressed.
Yeah.
He knew I had done everything I could do to fix it.
Mhm.
It was a mistake. And yeah, it was a bad mistake and it was an expensive mistake, but he understood that I already understood the implication of that.
Right.
That single moment at the very beginning of my career changed how I have led my entire career.
Wow.
Because, and here's the weird thing, this is why I wanted to bring this up. We as leaders don't always realize those moments. I am quite sure that man does not remember this situation. I can almost guarantee you if I called him and asked him about it, he would not remember it at all. But it was a huge impact to me. It changed how I lead. I don't know how many times I sat across the desk from somebody who was in the same situation, who was freaked out that they were going to be in trouble. And I said, let me tell you a story. So I think that's a big thing that we miss as leaders is, and it puts some pressure on us. So you have that situation where a lot of pressure is put on you as a leader, even in the small moments, the things that you may think are very insignificant, may be huge to somebody else.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is they may not know it for years later. I didn't recognize this for years, and I finally realized how it affected how I lead. So yeah, I think that that's an important thing that we as leaders need to always remember, the impact that we can have sometimes on somebody's whole career. And then think about all the people that I've led over the years that I have impacted because of that outcome. Wow. So, and that's a positive one. You could have it on the negative side too. You could negatively impact somebody, and you don't want that.
Yeah,
so.
that's for sure. Wow, that's an amazing. I have never. First of all, after we're off the air, I'm gonna have to talk to you about Kansas City, because I didn't realize that you lived in Kansas City for a while, because that's basically my hometown. So I've probably been to the
your
theater.
Chiefs outfit with your Chiefs cup.
Yes, that's right. No. I mean, I lived in Kansas City. I went to Shawnee Mission West High School. Woo, go Vikings! And I only went there for 1 year because I'm from originally Parsons, Kansas. That's where I lived most of my life. But Kansas City, that's where my grandfather lived. I lived with him for 1 year because I wanted to go to a bigger school, and that's the school he also taught at that school. That's where my dad went to school, and all my aunts and uncles. Whole thing.
Ward Parkway was my theater.
Okay, gotcha. I know where Ward Parkway is. Good deal. If it's not even still there, is it? No, it's not. It's not still there.
Is Parkway not there anymore?
I don't think the theater is.
I think they're down to 14 screens.
Yeah.
I think they closed the lower level.
That's another topic
anyway.
for another day. we can reminisce because we know Kansas City. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a 1 minute break. We're going to come back. We've got the top 5 things for emerging leaders. We want to give you the tips. So Darby's got them. We got top 5. It's all coming up here in just a matter of a minute. So do not go anywhere. This is Lincoln. And welcome back to Lincoln. I'm Sean Wheat, along with Darby Veneer, the author and leadership coach. BeIndispensable.com is his website where you can learn more about him. And now we've got the top 5 things you can do to basically, for emerging leaders. First of all, the one of the, I think
might be an emergency.
Right. But one thing that I would recommend is, if you are a leader, own up to your mistakes. And trust me, I have many a time said, oops, I messed up, or I said something wrong. So that's one of those moments. Not emergency, but emerging leaders. All right, Darby, I'm going to let you kick us off and give us your number 5.
Yeah, so the 5th one I think I would note is kind of the mantra that I live by. As I have run companies, it has become my mantra. If you go to my LinkedIn, you will see it. And that is, let's make the right decisions and not just the easy decisions.
Right.
And what that basically means is sometimes decisions are hard, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't make that particular decision. There may be a case, especially when you're running a company, that an investment is a difficult decision, an investment in a software, in a new product, in whatever. But for the long term, it's the right decision. For 3 years from now and 5 years from now, it's the right decision. We could make an easier decision and get some cheaper software or some quick, easy product that's going to burn out quickly or something like that. And it might feel good in the moment, but then 3 years from now or 5 years from now, we're going to be having the same problems.
Yeah.
So I would rather have the tough discussions right now and make the tough decisions, assuming you can make them. Sometimes financially or for other reasons you can't. But if you can make those and it's right, invest that now and make that hard decision now, because it will benefit you in the long run. And I have lots of examples from my career that this has happened. So,
All right, number 4.
so the fourth one is, you and I were talking about this before we came on air. Understand that not everything is going to be easy.
Yeah.
As a leader, you will have difficult moments. You will have difficult moments in your business if you're running a business or a department. You will have difficult moments as you lead people. You may have difficult moments financially. But that
difficult people.
That's right. You have difficult people. Certainly, a lot of us had some difficult moments 5 years ago with COVID. I mean, that changed everything for a lot of businesses.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a challenge. So just understand and get it in your head now that as a leader, you're going to encounter those things, and that's great. Just view it as learning and how much better you're going to be in the long run. COVID's a good example. I used that as an example on a social group that I was in, of business leaders that were trying to support each other during that time. And that was one of the things I said at that time. I said, just remember, think of everything we're learning now that's going to benefit us later. I mean, just think about the restaurant industry and how quickly they shifted over to being able to do curbside and takeout, and businesses that weren't doing it, and how much they learned doing that. All the churches are a good example. I do video production at my church, and I said the same thing to them, because we had the capability to do streaming, but we hadn't been streaming at that point. We'd just been recording. We quickly switched over to streaming. We learned how to do lower thirds, and some of the stuff you have popping up on the screen here. We learned how to do all of that. It made us so much better in the long run.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that that's a big one. Just understand there will be difficult times, but use those to your advantage.
All right, coming up at number 3.
Of course, I need to mention this one, and that is consider hiring a coach for whatever you are in. When you get into a leadership role, it is beneficial to have somebody to sit down with on a regular basis. There's lots of different coaching individuals out there. Find the one that's right for you.
Darby.
Yeah, that would be great. Sometimes personalities don't mesh. If it doesn't work with one, go find another coach. And most coaches should not hold that against you.
No.
But it's a good opportunity to have somebody to sit down with. And anytime, you should be getting coaching in your company as well. Hopefully you are, from your boss and your managers and even coworkers. And that's great. But it's really beneficial to have somebody from outside your company, because they view things with a totally different lens, and they can help you process through things better.
Coming up at number 2.
Another one that I would definitely, of course, mention, and that is establish a plan. It's going to give you a baseline. If you are, I'm going to talk about it from a business standpoint first, and that is, as a business, you should have a strategic plan. And I know that term scares people sometimes. It doesn't have to. Strategic planning now has really evolved from that old style where you were trying to do a 5-year or a 10-year plan, and you get this big, huge, thick printout, and then you put it on a shelf and never look at it again. It's really evolved into like an ongoing process.
Yeah.
There are certainly lots of different, oftentimes they're called operating systems out there. Take advantage of those opportunities and then establish that plan, because you're going to have something documented that you're going to be shooting for. Are you going to hit every goal? Nope, you're not.
Nope.
But that's okay, because you know what? This is what I always say. What if you got 70% of the way done on all of your goals? A lot of people would look at that and say it was a total failure. But was it?
Yeah.
If you hadn't written them down and focused on them, would you have gotten 70% done? So now I only got to finish the other 30% next quarter. So you're already there.
Nice.
So establish a plan because it's really going to benefit you in the long run. Do this on a personal level too. You can do this at home as well so that you can set goals for your family, for yourself, financially, whatever it might be. Set those goals.
And number 1.
This is the most important one, and that is be kind.
Yes.
Everybody out there has something going on in their life that you don't know about. And for a leader, this particular one, if you have to take away one thing of these 5, take away this one, because it is by far the most important. Because no matter how close you think you are with your team members, with your coworkers, with the people that work for you, with your bosses, they are not telling you everything that's going on in their lives. Everybody has stuff. I'm just going to say stuff. I might use a different term in a different audience.
Right.
Going on in their lives that you're not aware of. And so be forgiving, understand people have bad days.
Yeah.
And if you have something going on in your life, of course it's going to affect your life. I went through the death of both of my parents at different times in the last 5 to 7 years. And I can tell you that changed how I acted, of course, for a time. And I did need some forgiveness at times. So, and I didn't tell anybody about it. I mean, everybody knew that it had happened, but I didn't talk to anybody about the fact that it was bothering me every single day at work. It's just not who I am. But those things, I was holding those things. So it's important as leaders, we recognize we're not going to know everything, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't expect to know everything. But just be forgiving, give some grace when things happen, and talk to somebody about maybe why they had an outburst or why something went wrong or whatever. Give them the opportunity to explain first and just be kind.
Be kind. It's a great for anything, honestly, these days. That's great advice. All right. And of course, let's go over these one more time. Right decisions, not easy decisions. Not everything will be easy. Consider hiring a coach, establish a plan, and be kind. Like I mess up all the time, and I'm always like, it happens. It happens. It happens. I mean, and you know what? This is also good stuff for your kids too. Be kind at the end. Like, okay, they're gonna mess up, and I think that's a great parenting skill to have. Is like they are gonna mess up as long as they understand the ramifications of their mess up. Be kind about it because they're already beating themselves up enough about it. That's just me, but it's great leadership advice. Of course, Darby, we really appreciate you being on and talking to us today about this. Once again, talk about your website, your book, and how people can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the website is beindispensable.com. If you just want to search, I'm most active on LinkedIn. I'm on other social media too, but I'm most active on LinkedIn, as Sean said. So you can just search for my name, Darby Veneer, on LinkedIn, and you'll find me. And I'll connect with most of you, or most anybody, as long as you don't turn around and try to sell me something immediately.
I know. I hate that. Oh, as soon as I get a message from somebody saying, as I accept them and they send me something,
Connect, and it's like, beep, beep.
done. No
Come
more.
on.
I get that you're trying to utilize the leads available to you, but have a little tact. That's my advice.
Give me a day at least.
Yeah. Right. Get to know me first before you try to sell me something. Darby, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And of course, check out his book, which you can find on Amazon.
Yep.
And what's the name of the book?
It's called The Indispensable Leader, and it's accessible on my website also.
All right, check it out. Otherwise, thank you very much to everybody who's joined us today. Really appreciate you. And of course, if you have an idea for the show, and this is me being a leader, if you have an idea for the show about linking people of Lincoln together, email me sean.wheat@graymedia.com, or you can get a hold of me on the social platforms, LNL Sean, Lincoln Sean, LNL Sean. And I'll be happy to hear your idea and send a message off to the mayor's office. Hopefully going to get her on very soon.
Nice.
Fingers crossed, because I want to talk about a couple of things, but I want to talk to her as a new Lincolnite when it comes to the city of Lincoln. I want to know things. That's the whole entire point of the show. I want to know things, and I want you to know things too. That's why I do this publicly on this forum and on this video podcast. All right, Darby, thank you again. Really appreciate it. We'll probably see you here soon, and if you, again, as I said, have any thoughts, suggestions, email me, sean.wheat at graymedia.com. Have a great night. It's Friday. We're a week away from Halloween. Don't do anything stupid, as I always tell everybody. And otherwise, go Huskers. Thanks again.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.